What's up, Warriors fans, and welcome back to Warriors Latest. As always, I am your host, Max Arizin. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you enjoy the show today, as I do post new Warriors videos daily, and it really helps both myself and the channel, so I do appreciate it a lot. Now, I was reading some of the trades, and by trades I mean rumor mills, during the day today, and as well as last night, and the one thing that really stood out to me was a rumor involving the Warriors and Walker Kessler. Now, I had talked about Walker Kessler previously over the summer in a potential sign-in trade for Jonathan Kuminga, but nothing really materialized in terms of that. Yes, it was going to be part of, say, a larger Lauri Markkanen deal, I got the feeling, because they throw in picks, things like that, but it never really materialized, and I think the Jazz are really committed towards keeping Lauri Markkanen moving forward. However, after the deadline passed for the, after the Jazz came out telling us that they didn't have a plan to sign Kessler to a, let's call it, a rookie scale contract extension, it really made me wonder. It's like, okay, he's probably going to be on the trade block. And I'm reading this rumor today, and it's more Kessler in exchange for the likes of Pods and maybe a filler contract like Santos or Jackson Davis. And I got to admit, this is a good idea, even if it's a beginning of the season trade, similar to Allen Iverson getting traded to Detroit and then Chauncey going to Denver. I see this as being that level of a trade for the Warriors because, yes, Pods has done well. He showed that he can be that guy, but it's still a very crowded, backcourt. And you've got Will Richard there. You got Buddy Hield there. You've got Gary Payton there. You've got eventually Seth Curry's going to be there. You've got, who else? Pat Spencer there. You've got a lot of guys in the backcourt. Oh, Moses Moody. You got a lot of guys in the backcourt, and that's the thing. And moving off a guy like Pods, who is good and offers an extra year of control for the Jazz in exchange for a guy who's basically going to be a restricted free agent this season, and he may or may not resign. It all really depends, but say he gets involved in a sign-in trade, the Jazz still have to take back that salary, and you're not really sure if they're interested in taking back that kind of salary right now. And on top of that, the Jazz, they're looking to move away from Kessler. It's pretty obvious about that, from not signing him to that extension. And I think it's more because they've got Kyle Filipowski right there, who's on a better contract and does have a few more years of control with him. So I definitely see this as a possibility, but the Warriors do need to act on this as soon as possible because Kessler, he brings that Andrew Bogut-like defensive presence that the Warriors have been missing. And by that, I mean he's the guy who can be physical with the likes of a Joker, with the likes of a Anthony Davis, with the likes of, say, even the bigger centers, like a Rudy Gobert and guys like that, or even a Joel Embiid, even though they wouldn't play until the NBA Finals. Or even an Isaiah Hartenstein and Alperen Şengün. I mean, we saw how the Rockets were playing against the Thunder in opening night. They are going to have a big lineup. So size does matter in this situation. And it doesn't matter how quick you can be, you're not going to beat that amount of length. So I want to see the Warriors get bigger. And with this game against the Nuggets, I think it's going to confirm what I believe, which is the Warriors' lack of size is going to hurt them because Draymond still has that energy, which he showed against DeAndre Ayton. Granted, I gave Ayton a little too much credit this summer. I thought he'd turn into something big and really take advantage of an opportunity with a team that it was a top 3 seed last year after being with the Trailblazers the last 2. Unfortunately, he didn't even score in double digits and was a non-factor against the Warriors. Draymond had his way with him. Now, I don't know how often Draymond's going to keep this up, but it would take the load off of him being physical and move him to the 4 if you bring in a guy like Walker Kessler. Now, he's going to give you 8 and 8, which is essential, but those 8 are going to be against guys who are his size that Draymond would have a bit of a tougher time getting rebounds against. So I want to see them do this kind of deal if things don't work out against the Nuggets, and I'm kind of proven right on their lack of size. So I hope they make it into like a Chauncey Billups-Iverson deal. And it's like, all right, we got to do something about this. We're projected to be a top seed this year by ESPN. Time to act now. And then boom, boom, boom. It solves a problem with the Jazz, opens a roster spot with the Warriors, and it also allows the Warriors to have a little more flexibility moving forward. We all know 2027 is that championship deadline for the Warriors. And then it's a complete reset. However, with that said, we have to acknowledge the fact of how well Jonathan Kuminga played against the Lakers the other day. And the fact that he put up 17 with 4 for 6 from 3, along with 9 rebounds and 6 assists. This is the Kuminga we've been looking for. And it's because of this that he's staying in the starting lineup, because of how hot he was right there. Now, this was a regular change, but it really took off. And if he does the same thing against the likes of the Nuggets, he's going to continue to be part of that starting lineup and potentially be part of that championship winning team this year and potentially next year, as well as the future of the Warriors franchise after Steph, Draymond, and Jimmy call it a career or leave. I think it's more likely the former than the latter. But being a part of that next generation is really what Kuminga wants. So I hope he does achieve this and really continues to play, because he's going to be an X factor if he keeps this up. I mean, I spent all game eating crow for dinner after what Kuminga did, because I know that I talked about Kuminga a lot, and I did not always say the nicest things about him. I was critical. I was never mean, but I was critical about him because I didn't think he fit with the team. I thought he was an attack the basket, downhill guy, didn't really have any strengths outside of what we already knew. A guy who can get his own shot in isolation, attack the basket, and give that extra effort. But outside of that, you still need more for a core piece on a championship team. Now, should this continue, right now the starting lineup goes, I believe it's Steph, Pods, Jimmy, Kuminga, and then Draymond Green, with Al Horford coming off the bench. Now, I do eventually hope that this lineup will turn into Steph, Jimmy, Kuminga, Draymond, and then Al Horford, with a good rotation of the likes of Horford and Quentin Post, who really at least can match up as a 7-footer with those bigger guys for right now, should they not bring a guy like Walker Kessler in. So I do like that rotation over, say, what they have now. However, it's all really dependent on how things go against the Nuggets. Now, if things go bad against the Nuggets, there could be some very quick changes, because I love this team, but their lack of size is going to be an issue against teams like the Nuggets, teams like the Rockets, especially after what we saw in that opening night doubleheader with the Rockets having, I believe it was Amen Thompson at the 1. Kevin Durant at the 2, Jabari Smith Jr. at the 3, Alperen Sengun at the 4, and then Steven Adams at the 5. That is a big lineup, and I don't care how many threes you can put up. If those guys can trap you, there's nothing you can do. You can't beat their length. And the Warriors have to realize this is where, if they can't get by that length, at least find ways to get by it, they're going to have serious problems as the season goes on. But I do think they have the ability to adjust and still make those plays to get off to a fast start and then can keep the momentum going for all 4 quarters. Now, with that doubleheader, I did notice something else very interesting, and that was the same thing we both loved about the doubleheader, at least the first part outside of the double overtime finish, and that was the Michael Jordan segment of the show. Now, that segment, I thought it would be more like Kobe Bryant's detail, Jordan breaking down the game live with X's and O's and stuff like that. But it wasn't. It was basically a Mike Tirico interview style kind of pre-recorded halftime. So I think for me that says, okay, Jordan is not as savvy with the game and X's and O's as Kobe Bryant was. That being said, the one big takeaway I had from that entire interview is Jordan's itch to play. Now, I'm looking forward to every single one of these Jordan moments during the halftime show, these little segments, and I get the feeling that, all right, we're gonna have a Warriors let's say a Warriors, not Lakers, a Warriors Rockets game on NBC. In this halftime, in the middle of this halftime show, we're gonna get MJ saying, "Hey, I'm coming back to the Big Three, and he's gonna start playing some games with the Big Three for the next few years, and then everybody comes back to play Big Three games, and we're gonna get some great basketball over the summer while we wait for the new Warriors season to start in October." Now, this is a far-fetched conspiracy, I know. But don't be surprised. I've seen it happen before. You get an older player, like back in the groove of things, and it's like, I still think I got something left in the tank. And while it may not be the NBA, him being what? I want to say 62 right now? Him getting into shape and playing 3-on-3 basketball. Don't be surprised if that happens. I'm just saying, like, I'm going to enjoy these segments. Like, it's going to be great insight, because that thing about him being at the Ryder Cup the last time he shot a ball and it being the most nervous he'd been in years because of the owner of the house or the owner of the Airbnb he was staying at, like, asked him to or told him to shoot a shot for the little kids, and he was so nervous because the kids had heard all the stories about him from 30 years ago. So, and he switched that shot, but that itch is just going to keep coming back. And I know we've all heard the stories of Michael. I've seen Michael live back when he was with the Bulls. You've seen him either with the Bulls or the Wizards, or even on the YouTube videos. He is just a fun player to watch, whether it be sitting on a couch talking about his playing career, or even on the court walking like he owns the air. So don't be surprised if that happens, but for right now, just enjoy the halftime segment during Warriors nationally televised games on NBC. Oh God, that was fun to watch. That really was. But bottom line is, like, as I said, this small ball lineup is going to face its real first test against the Nuggets. Like, the Nuggets have a big team. Like, they've got a real bit, like a sizable 7-footer to go along with a legitimate faster paced and bigger and stronger power forward in the likes of Aaron Gordon. Now, you put Aaron Gordon against, say, Jonathan Kuminga, it's going to be tough, but I'm still a little worried that Aaron Gordon is going to get the better of him. And on top of that, I think Cam Johnson and Jimmy Butler match up well. However, the guard situation, I think Steph has already gotten that taken care of, but you never really know. So, because, like, just Joker being right there and having his way with the likes of Draymond for the first few minutes of the game may be a problem. But then again, I may be wrong. Like, the Warriors may come out swinging and swinging fast. Next thing you know, they're up 15, and they know how to maintain that momentum moving forward and keep it going to the point where it's punch for punch, but it gets close, but never feels close. Similar to how the Laker game was. It got it to within 1 point, but it never felt like a 1-point game. It felt always like a 5 or 6 point game. It was never within, like, a win couldn't be snatched from the jaws of defeat by the Lakers at any point in the entire game. So if the Warriors can do that to the Nuggets, they have a real shot at starting 2-0 this season and really building maybe a 7 to 10 game winning streak. Now, that's all we have today for Warriors Latest. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, as I do really appreciate you supporting the channel as well as myself. And if you have any thoughts on the conspiracy of Jordan returning, or who else they should add to a potential Walker Kessler trade, feel free to comment below, as I love hearing your thoughts, especially about these situations, because I find this so fascinating. And as always, go Dubs.